All right, I think we're live.
Okay.
I'm here with Cheri Riemer, and we're going to talk about her son CJ. Um, yeah, so why don't we start out with CJ's childhood and a little bit of background on him?
Okay. So we could start real quick, like delivery, so he
Yeah.
was a quick hour and a half delivery. We had no idea. Randy and I are older parents. We were told we could never have children. And so he was definitely a gift from God. And so then we delivered him. And my husband, being an eye doctor, you can kind of see some signs. And my husband's like, I wonder if he has Down syndrome, because we had no idea. And then the pediatrician came in. She was shaking. It's a common diagnosis a lot of parents get in the hospital. The pediatricians many times are they don't do a great job. She was shaking, and she told us that she suspected our child had a severe neurological problem. And my Randy and I are looking at each other, say, okay, what? And she said, well, we think he has Down syndrome. And I almost laughed at her because we know that's not a neurological, that's a genetic thing. And I said, okay, let's dive in. And so early on, we got involved with early on very quickly, by a month old. And, you're told it's kind of like that letter Trip to Holland. Have you ever read it before?
No.
So it's a really good, welcome to Holland. You're getting on an airplane and you think you're going to a one glorious city. And then the flight attendant announces, here, we've arrived in Italy or something. And you're like, wait a minute, I wasn't going there. So it's a different trip, we thought, okay, let's do this. So, we had a good support system, friends and family. And, so typically the children with Down syndrome are delayed. Their muscle tone is very poor. So we just are an active family, and he did a lot of tummy time. We did some studies like with U of M. They came, and he was actually he had to do a treadmill as an
Okay.
infant, and, things like that. So, but he was walking,
Crawling on a treadmill?
they crawl, and then, you do these bars with, pipe pipes that he was doing, like, bars to try to stand. And so he was actually walking at 15 months.
Okay.
So, and you get the challenges from a lot of different people that, what are you gonna do? And we're like, what do you mean? Well, so for in our family, the philosophy is don't drop the standard, raise them to the standard. It just looks, it's going to be a different trip, a
Yep.
different way. You got to find new ways to reach milestones. So, we just plunged on, and we do a lot of, our family's very active in the water. So we had him tubing. By the time he was 9 months old, we were all on inner tubes. And so behind a speedboat, and, doing things like that. So I'll talk a little more about the passions, but, so he was reading. We did a program, e-reading, I think it was called e-reading pro. Um, the woman who designed it is from Canada, and it was designed for kids with special needs.
Okay.
So children with Down syndrome many times are very visual. And so we did these flashcards, and we made them up. And so he was reading when he was in first grade. So he can read a newspaper. He can, it's where the breakdown is comprehension, the WH words, what, why, where, when, how.
Okay.
So they really struggle with that. But, you know, so we just keep raising them to the standard. And, the schools sometimes would tell you, he's never going to do this or that. And we're like, okay. And then they're like, hey, do you know what he just did? And we're like, yep, he's already been doing that, but we just let them, we let
Yeah.
them think that they did it, and that's fine as long as, they acknowledge it and we keep going. So CJ is the kind of guy, he's very friendly, outgoing. He loves to play jokes, and very active, pretty strong kid. So we got him involved in Special Olympics, and school really wasn't involved in Special Olympics. So Randy and we decided to take on the coaching job. So, I was coaching track and field and swimming, and Randy did, I think, track and field and bowling. And so we just would keep going and doing things like that and try to get others involved.
Is he
So
he's a Hazlitt student? He was at Hazlitt?
correct.
Okay.
Yes. So when he was in grade school and all, they didn't have a program much. So we kind of, hopefully we had some, we were able to help them kind of get that along because now they've got a really great program.
Yeah,
It's
that's
one,
what I've heard. I don't know if you
yeah.
know, my wife was she had an ASD room in Jackson, for 7 years. She was a teacher, and then she went into administration, and
Okay.
was an assistant principal for 3 years before she left the schools. So she knows everybody,
Got it.
around
I'm sure I
Lansing.
probably met her somewhere.
I'm sure
Uh,
you have. That's
yeah,
We left there when we started Able Eyes,
got
and
it.
that was a crazy time. But yeah, I've heard really good things about Hazlitt. Yeah. So
So,
so tell me about most people know CJ as the weatherman, right? I mean,
right.
that's his thing. Where did this come from? How did he go, "Hey, I want to start doing this"?
Well, always had an interest in weather. It started in sixth grade, middle school, and he loved the clouds, cumulus, cirrocumulus, and stratus. And so he was really good with that. And so, fast forward, it was Christmas of 2019, we got him a weather machine. And so he was having fun with that. And then COVID hit. So we're like, what are we going to do? He's got to do something. We need to stimulate speech. We need to work on concepts. So we decided, okay, let's do a couple weather reports. And so I videoed it and I posted it on Facebook, a couple reports, and had a couple friends say, hey, that was really cool. And my husband's like, Cheri, nobody really wants to see this. So let's shut it down. I said, okay. So then we went the grocery, and then another friend reached out. They're like, hey, that was really good. Do you think you could add some things to the report? And so we thought, okay, let's do that. And Randy's like, okay, if people are interested. So we started with a simple Excel sheet, and CJ added things to it because he's very techy and good with the apps on the phone.
Yeah.
And so he's got like 7 or 8 apps. And so he would consult them and look at the weather and weather patterns and radar. And so then he started writing down different things. And then pretty soon it evolved into he loves to dance, the theater. So he started doing themes. That was all CJ. So he would say it's happy. Today was, or like happy tell a joke um, Wednesday, or wacky Wednesday. And so he would set it up and do wacky things for the theme. It's actually National Trick Shot Tuesday. I did not know that. CJ found it on the phone. He said, hey, it's National Trick Shot Tuesday. We got to do the weather about that.
Did
So
he do
it
a basketball?
Oh yeah, he's a pretty good
Was it
basketball.
today's? I think I
Yeah,
saw that this morning. I saw him with a basketball this morning. Yeah.
yeah. So they're usually the reports are anywhere from 40 seconds to under 2 minutes. We keep it under 2 minutes. We try to post it every morning by 9 o'clock, 10 at the very latest. So it started April 14th of 2020. We're locked
Okay.
down at home, and he has never missed a day.
That's pretty
Some
exciting.
days are 2 or 3 reports at during the day because he has to give an update. Like he got me up at 4:30 in the morning one early morning. Mom, we got to do an update. It's a thunderstorm out there. I'm like, CJ, we're sleeping. No, I got it all written up. I just need you to film it. He did. So we posted it. But so he takes it on very seriously. And he's on Facebook and Instagram. We've got a couple on YouTube because it's one more thing. I do the posting. I think it's
Yeah.
just a better idea that way. But he has 2,500 plus followers on Facebook.
I can imagine they're probably from all over the place too.
They're in different countries even.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
and the weather in this area, I've got several friends, and followers, they'll say, I don't even watch the weather anymore. I just look at CJ's because it's pretty accurate. So he takes the impression of 4 or 5 weather apps, and he decides, okay, and he fills out, let me grab the chart for you.
Yeah.
Um, I'm coming. We'll see if you can see it. So this is his Excel sheet now. So he does all these stats and fills
Okay.
it all out. Did you see it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he did like today's. So he'll fill it out like this.
Oh, cool.
You know, he fills in all the details and what his theme's going to be. Um, you know, does he have props that he wants to use and things like that.
He
So,
was singing a song and maybe it was yesterday. I don't know because sometimes Facebook doesn't put everything in order. So if I click on it, but I was looking at one and he was doing the report and he was like singing a song to start it and then sing the song to end it. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
I don't know which one that is. So, but he also like in high school, all the way from middle school, sixth grade, he started playing the baritone. So
Okay.
he has a baritone and then he in the marching band. So he completed 4 years of marching band. He was out on the field. Um, and he did the whole show, all the songs. He plays the euphonium. So he's still playing it. He graduated 2 years ago. He's on his second year being out. So he like, have you heard of Damon Street, the Christmas lights Cheryl Underwood does? So she does a big Christmas theme and she got in a
Cheryl,
lot of trouble with Williamston. They
Cheryl
wanted to shut
Underwood
it down.
sounds
Cheryl,
familiar.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
her name
she's
sounds
out
very
on,
familiar.
she'll have it at the Wamhow Farms. It's called Christmas Wonderland Walkthrough.
Okay.
So CJ is going to be there probably a couple different nights playing Christmas carols for people as they walk through. So he's not afraid to try things. He loves doing that type of thing. Trying to think of, all right, where do you want to go from here? So we've
So
covered the weather.
yeah, so we before we jumped down, we were talking about him bowling.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, tell me a little bit about so you told me that he bowled a couple over 200 games recently, which is crazy to me. I've done one in my life. I got one over 200 and I think the next game was like 120. So it was 100% luck. Um but yeah, tell us about his bowling and
So,
yep.
there were a lot of, we would do birthday parties and do bowling and he doesn't use the bumpers and in
Yep.
Special Olympics, you can't use bumpers. So we got him in the youth league on Saturdays at Pins and Pints. It was city limits prior to that.
Yep.
And so he bowled all the years of eligibility there. And so he was on a team and then they also did singles. Then in high school, he did 4 years of the bowling team. And they didn't have a bowling coach at one point. So I was like the assistant, but I was the bowling coach one of the years. But you know what? We want these kids to be able to bowl and have fun. And we feel like anyone can go out and do it. You just got to keep working. Practice makes perfect. So now he's aged out of the youth league. He's on the adult league. So he and my husband, I'm their alternate because I don't want to be committed every week for
Yeah. Yeah.
9 months. So, but his average, I think, is now 180.
Yeah. That's
But
pretty good.
he's got probably 100, 200 plus games in the last year and a half. So he gives us a run for our money. It's always fun when everybody wants to try to beat CJ. CJ's gonna beat you. Nope, I'm gonna get out there and do it. So it's fun, but he loves it. He has a great time. So he continues on with that. And so we're hoping that we can find out through Special Olympics how to get him to the national level and the
Okay.
international level. So haven't really been able to navigate that very well. So but anyway, so he just loves life and lives it to the fullest.
What are some of his other interests?
The water, he loves the water. So have you ever heard of ZUP,
Mm.
ZUP boards? Let me get a picture for them.
Yep.
That might be a partnership for you guys. Here, I'm coming with a picture. So CJ actually, can you see that? That's a ZUP. So you can, it's for kids age 2 to 92. And it's a really quick learning. So, and kids will take kids out with special needs. Usually in August, the Down syndrome community will, that are, like they call it their Club 21. So we'll take them out on the ZUP board in the summer. But it's so much fun. It's easy to get on. You can lay on it, you can knee board on it, you can stand on it, you can do 360s. So CJ's pretty good with that. He's actually an ambassador for the company.
Oh, does he have
So
like a kind of like an affiliate type of thing that he
well,
does?
that and a dollar will get you a cup of coffee. So
Yeah.
he just, they call him an ambassador, and they had a prototype board that the owner, he lives down in the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
He came here. He's got family up in Ludington. So he was here with his team, and they stopped in and went out zupping with CJ and showed him the new board, a
Is it
prototype.
is it ZUP?
Yes,
Okay.
ZUP boards. So
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of them.
yeah. So
Do they
anyway,
do
it's
they have a
pretty cool.
local distributor here in the Lansing area?
You can get it like at Overton's. I think they're working on getting a board that may be at some outlets, but you can get it at most any marinas.
Okay.
You can go online, you can get them through Amazon, I believe, but going to Zup boards directly is the way to do it. I think they've got a 30% off or 25% off right now for Christmas with free shipping. So,
Okay.
but yeah, they're like some friends of ours from Hazlitt, their son's a big football player. I mean,
Yep.
he's defense. He loves it because he can do it.
Yeah.
It's hard to tube because you get thrown off, but their whole family loves this.
Cool.
So CJ's a really good, he can do 360s, standing 360s, jumps. So he does that. He loves extreme tubing, really likes to fly. So you'll see on some of his somersault Saturday weather report, he'll show some of his somersaults and things. So he puts together, kind of going back to the weather, he puts together iMovies. So
Yep.
we just take pictures and things, and then he has the theme, he puts it all together, then he puts music to it that's appropriate. We don't tell him. We might suggest once in a while, like, well, have you thought about this? Like he did Wipeout Wednesday and he found the song Wipeout. And so he'll put that to it. But so he really loves doing that. He also, have you seen landlocked surfing? So you surf
No.
behind a wakeboard boat on a inland lake. So he
Uh-uh.
surfs. So I've got that picture too. Let me see if I can
So
show you. Oh,
so
right here.
that's without a
They're
without
surfing.
yeah, so
So that's him in his cap and gown.
he's not even holding on to anything. It's
Correct.
the wake is creating the waves and then he can
Correct.
surf it. Yeah, that's pretty
Yep.
cool. Yeah,
So, and
I have seen that before.
so he, that came along. He's been doing that for probably 7 years. My husband and I both do it because it's a little easier on our bodies than wakeboarding. So one time he said, well, I want to do it. And we're like, oh, okay. So I got in the water and just kind of held the board, and he took right off. He did it. And, so one thing, if you can really impress on people, the readers, don't put your kids in a box.
Yeah.
They're capable of so much more. Push them a little, just find a new way to get them there. Because who would have ever thought, a lot of our friends, their kids, they go on the ZUP board now. And some of the parents are like, oh, my kid will never do that. And it's like, well, I've got pictures here. You want to see them?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
kid did that. So, we just really want them to get involved, and it takes a lot of time, but you know what? They're capable of so much more.
Yep. A lot of people want to play stuff safe and just stay comfortable, and there's really no growth in that.
Right. I mean, have you heard of the bike? Oh, what's the biking thing? Peak, PEAK, performance. So kids with special needs, they teach them how to ride bikes.
Okay.
So they came, I think he was like 7 or 8. And we would go to, it was out at the Beekman Center, and you have to sign up
Yep.
for it because they only take so many kids. But, and he's got really good balance. We would go on a Weehoo, so it would go behind our bike, and he'd push around like he never did much with training wheels. Um, but they did a balance bike. They had him go out and then they put him on a two-wheeler. And I'm like, the mom, I'm like, oh man, this is not gonna end well. He took off riding the bike. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yep, there we go. Never put him in a box. So, kids are capable.
Yep. You just got to push them,
Yep.
or you got to encourage. You got to encourage them. Maybe not
Encouragement is huge.
push
And
for a little bit, but I mean, there's got to be the encouragement. You can't push them forever because then they won't want to do it because mom and dad are telling them that
right.
they need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we try to be very sensitive because that's exactly right. If you say you need to go practice this or that, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but he's recently we've been doing pickleball as a family.
Oh
So he's
yeah.
loving pickleball and,
Do you go to
he
Patriarch
runs it.
Park?
What's that?
You go to Patriarch Park to play?
We actually have a driveway that's perfectly wide
Oh, so
enough
you,
to
yeah,
set
you
up a
do it in your own
pickleball
driveway.
net. So we do
Yeah.
it there. And yeah, if he doesn't know, for Christmas, there's like an indoor dink
Okay.
net. So it'll fit in our basement. So we'll be doing that. So we can do it in the winter indoor, but he loves pickleball. He'll try anything. He likes to golf. We haven't been as active with that because it takes so much time.
Yeah, it's hard to find 4 hours to slot
Right.
something in. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, he loves to travel. He loves to go places. He likes to do his weather reports with guests. So he started introducing that. So you'll see once in a while, like Bob Hoffman at Fox
Yeah.
47.
Yeah, I know Bob well. Yep.
So Bob knows CJ pretty well. Bob will come out and go tubing with CJ.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so we do that. And yeah, so that's kind of CJ in a nutshell. Do you have any other questions for me to expand on?
So you mentioned golf. Does he have a favorite course that he likes to play when he goes?
We don't do it a lot, but we would go to the driving range and then his aunt, she's not his real aunt, but we call her Aunt Barb. She was a professional golfer. So when
Okay.
we go to Orlando, she'll give him a little lesson here and there, watch him hit balls. And then we've just started going to the par 3 in Hazlet, um,
The Meridian
Lake of
Sun,
the
right?
Hills, Lake of the Hills. It's
Lake
got
of
a
the
little
Hills. Yeah,
executive
On
course.
Hazlet Road, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's kind of back in that neighborhood.
Yep. Yep.
Not the Meridian Sun. We haven't
Yep.
played that one yet, but the other direction, towards East Lansing, there's a neighborhood back there with an executive course. So we think we're going to do that a lot more next summer. You just take a few clubs with you and you go play around.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. And you can get through it a lot faster too
right,
when it's a par three. Yep.
right. So that was fun, but
Well, cool. Anything else that we didn't cover that you want to share?
he wants to get his driver's license and golf cart. So he really wants to drive. He can drive a golf cart, but to drive it legally, you're supposed to have a license. So
Yeah.
he's got the tools. We just haven't had time to do it. But he always talks about, I'm going to have my golf cart. And, so that's something, but he already knows how to drive it and back it up. He's a really good driver, but like I said, to be legal, he's got to get a license. Yeah, he's not afraid to try anything.
That's
He,
awesome. I love that.
so,
Well, awesome. Well, thanks so much for jumping on with us. We really appreciate it.
oh, you're welcome. Well, if you want to do an Able Eyes weather cameo sometime, we could do that.
Yeah, we actually should do that. That would be fun.
He would love it. So yeah, he will travel. So he does like game day reports. Have you ever seen his MSU game day?
Nope.
So the football team, unfortunately, they didn't have the season they were hoping for, but
Yeah.
Kurt Richardson, he will
Oh yeah.
reach.
Yeah.
So Kurt,
He coached at Mason a couple of years
right?
ago. And my oldest, that's a senior, has been the kicker on the football team for 3 years. So
Okay.
Kurt was one of the coaches Colin's sophomore year, and then he left after that season to go to Michigan State. Yep.
Right. So Kurt will reach. It's funny how that occurred. If you have a second to tell
Yeah,
that.
yeah, go ahead.
So I had reached out. I knew one of the coaches' wives, and I said, "Hey, do you think CJ would like to do a weather report?" And they said, "Well, call this number." So I called and I said, "My son would love to do a weather report with one of the guys. Is that possible?" And they said, "Well, we're getting ready to hire someone, director of player engagement, and
Yep.
we'll have him give you a call. So that was in the summer of, because Kurt's been there 2 years, I think.
I think
So
he was
he
there for,
called me.
yeah, 2 years. Yep. I think
Yep.
this is
So
the second
Kurt called
season.
and he said, I'm Kurt Richardson, and I understand your son wants to interview a player. And I kind of laughed. I said, well, not exactly. He would like to do a weather report with him. He goes, really? I said, yeah, it's just like an intro. It only takes about a minute and a half. And he said, you know what? Let's do a game day. So when we have game day, CJ can come with one of the players and they do the intro and CJ does the weather report, and then can dance or whatever. So he's been doing that for 2 years. So
That's
that's
cool.
been fun. Yep.
Yeah, we
So,
should set something up and do it. That would be super fun. I see if we can get myself and my wife Megan to come out
oh,
and do
that'd
it
be
with us.
fun. Let's
Yeah, that'd
do
be
it.
super cool.
So yeah, because we know the Mason bowling team actually gave CJ his own Mason bowling shirt because
Okay.
they kind of took him in, he ended up getting, I think, 4 team shirts his senior year because they all know CJ. And there's a few of the Mason players that still know CJ Bartholic or Bart Casey. There's a couple of really good bowlers over there that they know CJ. They bowled with them. And
Okay. Yeah, I don't
so
know. I don't know really any of the bowlers. We're in the basketball, wrestling, football,
yeah,
soccer kind of circles.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the cheerleader, so you might know Cerratos,
Yeah. So
Christy Cerrato.
Grace is a senior.
Yes.
Yep.
So Christy was CJ's special ed teacher,
Oh, okay.
I think 4th grade.
Okay.
Uh, So she'll know CJ. And so
Okay.
her girls kind of grew up with CJ and would help in Special Olympics and things. So they know CJ. We've gone to their open houses, or they've been active in Special Olympics, the state games with CJ. So yeah, we know Cerritos are great people.
Cool. Yeah. Grace is a senior with my son. They're both in the same
Okay,
class. Yep. Yep.
got it.
I don't know him really well. Obviously I know who Grace is and I know who the
Right.
parents are, but we're not close with
Yeah,
them or anything. But yeah.
got it.
Well, cool. Well, thanks so much for jumping on with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Hopefully you got some information if you
Oh, we got lots of information.
all right. Well, if you have any other questions or need clarification, don't hesitate to call. Right now, CJ's working through the SAIL program. Have you heard of SAIL? Skills
Mm,
for Adult Independent
nope,
Living. It's
nope.
in Mason and it is at the Career Center, Wilson
Yep.
Talent Center.
Okay. Yeah.
So they do tasks, they're training them so that hopefully they can live independently. CJ's already, he's designed his house that he wants with
Oh,
secret
nice.
doors. He gets online and has these Google projects that, hey mom, look, this is my house now that we're gonna do. Um, but anyway, so he's working at Playmakers right now and
Cool.
Family Farm
Family
Center.
Farm at Home in Mason.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Yep. So he's there in the mornings on Monday and Wednesday, then playmakers on the afternoons, Monday and Wednesday.
Yep.
So they go out to job sites. So
Yeah.
he's loving that.
I think one of the senior girls with Colin, her dad, last name's Lockwood, is the general manager, I think, of the Family Farm at Home in Mason.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
well, they usually end up knowing who CJ is. So
Yeah. Yeah.
he told me someone came up to him yesterday at Playmakers and said, "Hey, you're the weatherman." And I said, "Well, who was it?" CJ goes, "I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know who it was." So, but he doesn't care. He'll go do the weather report with the football players. Okay, mom, I'm ready to go. I mean, we're
Yeah.
there all 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And,
He's not
which is
impressed.
kind of how
Yeah.
we all need to be. It's like, yeah, that wasn't a big deal, was it? You're not, we're all the
Just
same.
another person, right?
Yep, we just
He's just
have
really good at
different
football, but yep.
likes and what have, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, well, thank you. And hopefully we'll get to meet you before long.
Yeah, that would be great. We'll
All
chat
right.
soon.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.